Good evening. This is Deborah Watkins, aka Auntie Deb, certified Christian life coach, author of the book From Mediocre to Marvelous, Get Out of Your Rut and Live a Fulfilled Life. I'm coming before you this evening to continue a series of talks that I've been doing on the notion of power. And I like to talk about power because, especially in the climate that we're in right now, a lot of times we feel that things are out of our control. And so a lot of us just give up and say, well, it is what it is. And I'm just going to get by and just live the life that I'm living. It's, not even the best that I can, but I'm just going to do what I have to do, in order to survive. But I feel, whatever climate we're in, that we do have some type of control. And it may not be over others, right? But you can control you and how you react and how you accept things in your life. And so I call it personal power. Now, I like quotes. I'm a quote person. I told you before my last video how I like quotes. And this one is from Lao Tzu. And he says that knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. Yes, and I believe in personal power, and I think that if you can really get a hold of that mindset, that those are the only people, right? People who discover their personal power, they're the only people who are truly satisfied and content, right? And that's what we're striving for. We're striving for satisfaction and contentment, and those people are happier on their jobs, and because they found their niche, and they're just happy, period, in life. And so there's some things that we call character, right? They're character, personality traits, that if you have these personality traits, they will get you much further than some of the negative character traits that we see going on right now in this climate. And so one of the ones that I want to talk about today is friendliness. And friendliness is a characteristic. It's a power, a personal power characteristic. And I want to talk about a woman that I worked with, and one of the organizations that I worked for, and she was of retirement age. She was in her, I believe, yeah, she was in her 60s, and she worked in a mailroom. She was a mailroom clerk, right? She was a mailroom clerk who really didn't have to work. I don't believe she had to work, but she just didn't want to be home. She liked being out and mingling with people, but she brought sunshine on the job site. So she was the type that she was funny because she wore mink coats to work. And she worked in the mailroom, and she wore mink coats. But she just had this personality that was just wonderful. It was great. But here's what she used to do. She would, when she talked to you and she got to know you, she would find out when your birthday was. And so there wasn't a person that she didn't come in contact with that she did not know their birthday. And she would always buy you a card and some type of little gift, a little trinket. It wouldn't be anything real expensive, but it would be something really thoughtful. And she did this to like everybody. She remembered everyone's birthday. And that was just who she was. That was just her personality. And she was very witty, she always had you laughing. But anyway, when it was her birthday, right? You should have seen her workspace and her desk. Now, do you think she did it for that reason? I don't think so. I think that was just her personality. But her desk would be overflowing with gifts and cards from people because she made people feel good about themselves. She made people feel special. And so, and I know you heard the quote, and I'm not sure even who said it. I thought it was Maya Angelou. It might have been um, Nelson Mandela. I'm not sure who said the quote, but they said people will not remember the things that you give them, or if you were in business, people won't remember what you sold them or whatever, but they will remember how you made them feel, right? And so that was her gift. She knew how to make people feel good about themselves. And so she got hurt. Now, this was the important part of this story. She was hurt. She she off the job. She fell and she broke her leg or something like that. And so ordinarily, um, administration would be like trying to um, influence the person to retire because she was at the retirement age. Because really, where we worked, you weren't supposed to have any kind of canes or anything like that on the job because it was a dangerous situation. And so, but people were like, if she wants to come back to work, and it was like pressure. The administration was under pressure. And they was like, we're gonna help her get in this building. And so every single day she had an escort, somebody would escort her in the building. She would hold on to them so that she didn't need her cane. And then when she got to the mail room, people would do her running for her. And so until she was able to move around on her own. But that's how much power she had and influence, that she was really able to influence the powers to be, not to try to force her to retire. And so that's just one example of personal power, because we tend to think of power, like I said, as something lofty and big. And no, you can have power of influence in even your small circle. And so that is my talk for today on power. I think the next talk I'm going to have will be on listeners. Yes, we're going to talk about the power of listening. And so until then, have a good day, have a good evening. Talk to you soon.